Hey team! Thank you for joining me on Accepting the Call to Change podcast, where we discover opportunities to invite growth and change into our lives. Team! Welcome back. I am so excited for today's episode, you guys. You have no idea. I'm excited for every episode though, let's be real. So today I'm going to take y'all kind of back to the beginning. But before we dive into the episode, can we just take a moment to appreciate my cute little headset? Adorable! I think it's so fun. It's a cute color, and it's I feel like I'm a pilot or something. I feel like I have the coolest job in the world. But anyway, kind of fun. I decided that I move too much when I speak to have a microphone that doesn't move with me. So this is why I have this. I think it's so cute and so fun. Anyway, now that you all appreciated my headset, thank you. Let's dive right into the episode. So like I said, I'm going to take y'all back to the beginning. Not the very beginning, but kind of the beginning where my desire grew to change the world, where my quest began to change the world. And this quest all started with one simple question. So I'm gonna share a story with y'all. When I was about 14 and Kara was 12, we came home from school and we were just talking, and my dad usually asks, how was your day at school? And we just be like, yeah, it was fine, just one word answers. Not too fond of school, and so we just I don't know, we didn't have much to share. And so this particular day though, Dad asks us something different. He's like, so I have a question. We're like, okay, what's his question gonna be? Kind of getting a little nervous. And he was like, how did you change the world today? And we were a little caught off guard. Kara and I, we were like, what? How did we change the world today? Literally, I'm a 14-year-old high schooler girl who can't change the world in one day. And I'm sure Kara was seeing the same thing. And we were just a little confused and caught off guard. And I was like, Dad, I can't change the world. I'm just one person, and I'm not going to change the world in one day. And so he's like, I'm going to share a story with you guys. And the story goes a little something like this. Once upon a time, there was an old man who used to go to the ocean to do his writing. He had a habit of walking on the beach every morning before he began his work. Early one morning, he was walking along the shore after a big storm had passed and found the vast beach littered with starfish as far as the eye could see, stretching in both directions. Off in the distance, the old man noticed a small boy approaching. As the boy walked, he paused every so often, and as he grew closer, the man could see that he was occasionally bending down to pick up an object and throw it into the sea. The boy came closer still, and the man called out, "Good morning. May I ask what it is that you are doing?" The young boy paused, looked up, and replied, "Throwing starfish into the ocean. The tide has washed them up onto the beach, and they can't return to the sea by themselves." The youth replied, "When the sun gets high, they will die, unless I throw them back into the water." The old man replied, "But there must be tens of thousands of starfish on this beach. I'm afraid you won't really be able to make much of a difference." The boy bent down, picked up yet another starfish, and threw it as far as he could into the ocean. Then he turned, smiled, and said, "It made a difference to that one." And so my dad shared that story with us, and we were like, oh, that's kind of cool. And Dad starts explaining, he's like, you don't have to do anything extravagant to change the world. You don't have to go out and do all these crazy things. He's like, you can just make a difference to the one. He's like, there's so many people. Just serve people one by one in small ways, and it will make a difference to them. And we're like, that's really cool. But we still were just kind of unsure of how we could do this. And so he shared another story with us. He's like, okay, girls, do you know the Candy Bomber? We're like, heck yeah, bro. We love the Candy Bomber. We went to a concert thing of his one time, and it was the coolest thing ever. And we had a little picture book of his story when we were younger, and all the things. And he's like, okay, I'm going to share his story again with you. We're like, all right. And so I'm going to share with you guys what my dad shared with us. And it goes a little something like this. It was June of 1948 when Colonel Gail S. Hal Halverson, a U.S. Air Force pilot who served during World War II, was assigned to the Berlin airlift to deliver much-needed food, fuel, and supplies to the Berliners. The effort was called Operation Vittles by the U.S. and Operation Plainfare by the British. One day, early in his mission, the 27-year-old Colonel Halverson spotted a group of German children gathering at the barbed wire fence along the Berlin airfield. It was common to see children clamoring for attention from the U.S. troops because they often wanted candy and sweets, but this group wasn't looking for a treat. These children were looking for signs of hope and freedom. They asked Hal about the airplanes and how much supplies they could carry. The children wanted to understand the reasons for their country's condition and to learn more about what the world was doing to help them. Seeing that the kids had nothing and were hungry, Colonel Halverson offered 2 sticks of gum, which was all he had. He expected them to ask for more, but the children were grateful for the kind gesture and just wanted to hear about Halverson's aircraft missions. Wanting to give them more, Hal made a bold promise. He promised he would bring them more treats if they agreed to share. But he would not hand treats out through the fence. He would drop them from the sky. He told the children they would know it was him in the air because he would wiggle his wings as he approached. Hal combined his candy rations with other servicemen to make parachutes of chocolate and gum out of the handkerchiefs and string. On July 18th, 1948, Operation Little Vittles, the special name given to the candy parachutes, took to the air. Hal kept his promise to the children, dropping parachutes of sweets from the sky. People began calling him Uncle Wiggly Wings and the Berlin Candy Bomber because of these heroic acts of kindness. Hal concludes, "The small things you do turn into great things." And so Dad shared this story with Kara and and we were like, I kind of like forgot about that. Not gonna lie, like that's so cool. Hal had nothing, and then he was like, "Here, I'm gonna give you this," and he's like, and like that's a small thing that he could do for the children that would change their world, and so he did it, and then it turned into changing the whole world. The whole world was behind this, and they're like, "Dope! Like that's so cool." And so Dad was like, I'm going to ask you girls this every day. How did you change the world today? And so from that moment forward, I woke up and I went to school with the determination to change the world. I was like, hey, what am I going to do today so that I can come home and tell Dad that I changed the world? Um, and it, I'm not going to lie, it seems super simple, but it was so hard for me sometimes to like come up with ideas of how I could change the world. In high school, I was very like introverted, kept to myself, didn't talk to other people. And so it was hard for me, like definitely outside of my comfort zone, to try and just do small acts of like service to others. Like I feel like I'm pretty good at serving, but just like with my like to my family and friends, not to like strangers. And so it was hard, but I was like, I gotta change a stranger's world just so I can tell Dad that I changed the world. Um, and so one day, there's a specific story that I recall, and I was in the hallway going to class, and it was during passing time, so there were a bunch of kids in the hall, and I don't know about you guys, but I hate passing people in the hall. Like, I would always pass people, and if I knew them, I'd be like, avoid eye contact. Like, if we weren't friends, but I'm like, we know each other, but we don't talk. Like, this is weird. And so I look ahead in the hallway, and I see this kid that I used to go to primary with. He was in our old ward, and I was like, okay, this is my opportunity. Like, I could totally change the world by waving at this kid today. But I was so hesitant. I was like, do I? Do I not? I don't know what I should do because this is awkward. I don't know if he remembers me, yada yada, all the things. And so we pass each other, and I wave at him, and he like gets a smile on his face, and he waves back, and I was like, oh, like, cute. He waved at me. But I'm like, I don't know if he, like, waved at me just because I waved at him or if he, like, actually knows who I am. And so a couple days pass, and then we pass each other in the same hallway. And I was like, oh, this is awkward. I waved at him the other day. Now I'm going to have to wave at him again. But I just feel weird because I just am a weird person. So anyway, we pass and he waves at me first. He's like, hey, Anna, how are you doing? And I was like, hey, like, I'm good. How are you? And you guys, that changed my world that day. I was like, homie remembers me from years and years ago, even though we haven't talked to him forever. Like, he still knows my name. Like, I knew who he was, but I was like, I didn't expect him to remember who I was. And so I'm like, this is dope. Now we're hallway buddies. Like, we could say hi in the hall. So he changed my world that day, and it's because I changed his world the day that I waved at him. So as time went on, as I kept finding new ways to change the world, I was like, I want to make a difference on more than just one person at a time. Like, I want to, like, do something bigger. Like, this is great, but, like, I want to do more for more people at a time. And so I was just, like, brainstorming. And I was like, I want to be a cosmetologist, but I can't change the world just by being a cosmetologist, just by doing people's hair. And so I was like, what do I do? What do I do? Just trying to figure it out, you know? And I had convinced myself that I could not make an impact by doing hair. And so I was like, I am going to join the army. Like, I think that'd be pretty cool. I can go and I can serve, join my brothers and my sisters on the front lines and, you know, save, do things for our country and protect our country. And I was like, that'd be pretty dope. Like, then I'd be changing, making an impact on the whole country and not just like one person in my little town, you know? So I decided that I was going to join the army. And so I talked with my parents. They were laying on their bed one night, and I went in there, popped myself on their bed, and I was like, hey guys, so I decided I'm going to join the army. And they were like, are you sure? Like, have you done your research? Do you know what, like, you'd be getting yourself into? Like, what would you want to go into? Because there's so many different, like, places in the army that you can go and join and serve in. And so they're like, have you done research? And I was like, no. But that's how I want to change the world, is I'm going to join the army. And they're like, okay, like, we suggest doing research. Just all that you can do before you make this, like, huge life-changing decision. I was like, okay, like, understandable. But me being my little my little brain, I felt like they didn't want me to join. I was like, you guys are just not being supportive. They don't want me to join the army. And so I was talking to, a couple nights later, I was talking to Trevor. He was downstairs in the laundry room doing laundry. And I was like, I went down there and I was like, Trev, I want to change the world. And so I decided to join the army. And he looks at me with a bit of confusion on his face, because it just, like, it kind of came out of nowhere, guys. And he's like, walk me through, like, your thought process. Let me know, like, why do you want to join the army? And I was like, just like I told you, like, I want to change the world, and I can't change the world by doing hair, so I'm going to join the army instead. And I was like, but I feel like mom and dad don't really want me to join. And he was just kind of like, well, I mean, it's understandable. He's like, you're going to go and you're going to put your life on the line to change the world when there's other ways that you can change the world. I was like, yeah, but Trev, I just feel like this is the way that I need to change the world. And he looks me dead in the eye, and he was like, Hannah, you want to change the world? You go and you tell people about Jesus Christ. You testify of how good life can be because of him. You testify and you tell people about how they can not only change their life, but they can change their eternity. And they can find peace and joy through Jesus Christ. He's like, if you want to change the world, you go on a mission. And he's like, and you represent Jesus to the best of your ability, and that will change the world. And I kind of was like, kind of blown away. Just a little flabbergasted. I was like, what? Like, okay. I was not expecting that answer to come from him. And I was like, I feel like I don't like want to go on a mission. So I was like, nah, bro, I'll just join the army. Just kind of like brush it off. But then the thought kept coming back to my mind of serving a mission as time went on. And so I was like, maybe I should serve a mission. But I was like, nah, I don't want to. And so then one night I was with my dad and Whip, and we were outside having a fire in our backyard, having little fire talks. We love fire talks. It's like our favorite thing. We ask like deep questions, all the things. And my dad asked, he's like, so if the prophet was here right now, what would he say to you? And I was like, oh, he'd tell me to go on a mission. Like without even like a second thought. I was like, that is what he would tell me. And I was like, hold up. Why in tarnation would the prophet tell me that? That is not something I want to do. It's never been on my radar. Like, what? And so I was just so confused. I was like, why would he tell me that? And so as life went on, and as I got closer to the end of my high school career, I had been thinking about these stories and these experiences that I had with wanting to change the world and deciding to join the army, but I still wanted to do hair because I love doing hair. I decided to put joining the army off to the side because I hadn't done research and I was like, I don't know enough, and I still really want to do hair. And so I was like, I just waited to join the army, and I went to hair school after I graduated high school. And as I went to hair school, and as I now am working in that field and industry, I have come to the realization that I can change the world by doing hair. These little experiences, clients will come in and they will be so happy just to get their hair washed and styled, and they're like, oh, thank you so much. Like, now I'm in a good mood. And there's this one particular client who comes in and she always brings food. Like, she will bring food for all the stylists there. She's brought like cookies before, and breakfast sandwiches and smoothies and soda. Like, she comes in, and it's because we change her world. She loves the way we do her hair. And because she loves the way we do her hair and the way we interact with her, she appreciates it, and that's how she shows her appreciation. And because she shows her appreciation, it changes my world. Not only my world, but the other stylists that I'm working with, it changes their world as well. And so, I mean, as you guys know, obviously, I went to hair school after I graduated high school, and then I ended up going on a mission. And we'll get into that whole story in later episodes. But as I have been reflecting on these stories and these experiences, and in all the different ways that I have tried to change the world, I have come to the realization that it doesn't matter how big the field is. Where I stand is where I make a difference. So whether that's joining the armed forces and serving there, or whether it's doing hair, being a cosmetologist, whether you are a CNA or a nurse or a doctor, or whether you're a stay-at-home mom or a teacher or a coach, maybe you do dry cleaning or clean people's carpets, or maybe you lay cement. I don't know. Whatever you do, whatever you're passionate about, whatever you're doing and where you're at is where you are going to make the biggest difference. That is where you can change the world. Something my mission president told us on our mission all the time was you are where you are for a reason. And those reasons have faces and they have names. People need you where you are. And so you guys, through these whole experiences, I have realized that my quest to change the world is never ending. That's why I'm doing this podcast. If I change one person's world just by doing this podcast, that's amazing. Now they're going to go out and change the world, right? So I don't think we fully understand the impact that we can have on others' lives. Changing the world really does start with one person making one simple impact on them. And whether that's us serving others or recognizing how others serve us and change our worlds. That's how my world has changed. The people that have changed my world and my life, they haven't done anything crazy or big. They've done small things and set small examples for me to follow. And that is what has changed my world and has made me want to change other people's worlds as well. And I can see that and recognize that now, that people do have a huge impact on me. That is, other people are the reason that I am doing what I'm doing. And other people are the reason that I know Jesus Christ. They're the reason that I keep going. People change lives, and it starts with us. So I'm gonna give y'all a call to action or a call to change over the next couple weeks. And that is, how did you change the world today? So number one, just think of that right now. How did you change the world today? And then tomorrow, when you wake up in the morning, be like, all right, bro, how am I going to change the world today? And then go out and change the world. And then come home tomorrow night and be like, just reflect. Be like, how did I change the world today? And be like, oh, that was really good that I did this. And then be like, oh, but I should do this tomorrow. Like, that would be so good. And then I want you to tell me how you changed the world. Okay? So comment on my Instagram, DM me on Instagram, comment on my podcast episode down in the comments. Just let me know how you changed the world today. Send me an email if you want. Like, I want to know because I'm so excited to help change the world with y'all. This is so fun. We're a big old team that's about to change the world. Let's go. Let's do this. And the coolest thing is that we have Christ on our side to do it. How fun. He's right there along with us, changing the world. And as we serve as Christ did and still does, we will succeed. We cannot fail with him by our sides. So let's go change the world. Okay, now the other questions that I'll leave y'all with is, what doors have closed recently in your life that has actually turned out to be a blessing? And in what ways can you invite change and growth into your life over the next few weeks? Thank you, team, for joining today. And I will see y'all on the flip side. Thank you, team, for joining me today. Remember to look for opportunities where you can grow and change. You are loved, you are valued, and you belong.